Hey there, everybody. Welcome to Food Allergy Mom Coffee Chat for Thursday. I'm Karina from Friendly Pantry, and I am a 13-year food allergy mom and a certified aller coach, and I help food allergy moms keep their kids safe while living a normal life. And so I want to talk to you today about navigating social events, and I know that this is something that we're still with quarantine and everything, we're not really totally thinking about, but this is the perfect time to start thinking about it while we're not going to them, so we can be ready when we get into all of those social events. Now, I'm hoping that my internet is working. I had a little bit of an issue with it this morning, and I'm seeing some things, so let me know if you're here. Let me know if you can see me, if you can hear me. I'm hoping that this is working. Definitely, my Wi-Fi was having a bit of issues. So I am going to just assume that it is working, and I'm going to hope and go ahead. So as I said, before I get to the tip of the day, I want to make sure that you have my free meal plan. It is 5 days of allergy-friendly meals, including breakfast and snacks, where you can get all the recipes plus a great shopping list. So it's really easy and quick and delicious meals. So check that out, friendlypantry.com/meal plan. Okay, I'm getting a message. I'm having some bad internet connection here. Gosh, I hope it works. Okay, so to start, I'm going to share a little bit of my story, of our story. Back 13 years ago, when my daughters were first diagnosed with food allergies, it felt really lonely, and it was, it was hard because my kids were babies, they were toddlers. Social situations seemed really hard and scary. And I would honestly go between feeling really relaxed on the outside, but super anxious on the inside. And I would just be freaking out. And then sometimes I would be really over demanding. So it took a long time to get that right. And it's not perfect now. I have to be honest with you, I'm not perfect, but I have learned a few things that have really worked. And these are the things that I try and share with you, the things that I've used and worked and that have worked for me. So one tip today, and the first one, is to create boundaries. And so what are boundaries? These are, in simple form, basically what is most important to you. So they're non-negotiable when it comes to your child's food allergies. So let me know if you have thought about boundaries before. Give me a yes or a no in the comments. If I see any, I'm hoping I'm gonna see some, but let me know if you have. And not seeing any yet, but you know what? I know that a lot of people haven't, and I know I never did, but honestly, it really helps you to clarify things. It helps you to communicate, and we talked a little bit about that last week. So a couple of examples of some food allergy boundaries when it comes to events is, number one, I say that food served to my child needs to be prepared in a clean environment where I know everything has been cleaned of trace allergens, including the utensils, the area, all of that. So that's number one. And number two, I need to read all ingredients of food that's served to my child. So this is a starting point. You may have different ones, you may have more or less, but this is just some ideas to get you started. So if you haven't done this already, when the video is done, I'd love for you to sit down and just think of a few boundaries that you want to have when it comes to your food allergies child and how they're going to be met. So what does that mean? So once you set these boundaries, it's great, but I want to point out that it doesn't necessarily mean that these are the host's boundaries, okay? So that means that maybe the host will not agree with you about what's important for their event. And it's important to know that it's not really made for them to agree or disagree. you may not even choose to talk about these boundaries with your host. You can decide if you do, and it's probably going to depend on how well you know the host and what the event is. So in the end, does creating these boundaries mean that others will be forced to adhere to them so that you can attend to their event? Definitely not. In fact, for me, I would rather not force people to adhere to my boundaries, especially if they don't see them as important. Because if they don't understand how important the boundaries are, it doesn't mean that they're cruel or mean. It just means that they're not in that place yet. So, and it doesn't mean that they're not going to get to that place or that they don't want to help, but they just haven't reached understanding yet. And I don't feel like pushing boundaries on an event host is the best way to bring them to understanding. So if we have boundaries and we can't make the host follow those boundaries, what do we do? So what I want to encourage you to do is look for solutions as a family. So maybe attending that event, eating at home first, or bringing your own food or something similar. And don't get me wrong, I always mention why we're doing what we're doing and what we're doing so that we can open up the conversation, but I never expect them to comply. And sometimes people are going to ask how they can help, and if so, this is your chance to now talk more about it with them. And the amount you talk about your boundaries is really going to depend on how close you are to the host, or how interested they are, or how open they are to understanding at this point. So I feel like in the beginning, I was definitely not clear enough with some of my closest people around me, and it caused confusion and it caused years of miscommunication. So consider how often you're going to be attending events with that person, how good your relationship is with them, and then you can decide how much education about your boundaries you should give them. Okay, so if the host does not offer to help me manage boundaries, I try not to take it personally, because that really now makes it very hard, because it's not personal. It is a matter of understanding, and I know I can change their understanding with small actions and education over time. So when I'm feeling frustrated with it, and believe me, this still happens, definitely, I try to remember I cannot control others. I can only control my response to others. Okay, so keep that in mind. It's super important. It's going to help you get through all those hard times. But to wrap it up, it's important to create and understand your boundaries when it comes to allergy-safe food at social events. And of course, in an ideal world, people are going to help you with whatever they can. And I graciously accept that whenever possible. But for the most part, I try to find ways to meet the boundaries myself and then educate slowly over time. So that's my tip for today, creating boundaries. Thanks for joining me. I'm going to see you next week. We're going to talk more about it. I'm going to have more tips for navigating social events with your food allergy child. Don't forget to grab that free meal plan if you haven't already. It's at friendlypantry.com/meal plan. And I will see you back next week, same time, same place, on Thursday at 10 a.m. Mountain Standard Time. Thank you so much for joining me, and we will talk to you soon.